Welcome back, everybody, to today's episode of Tech Times Daily, where again we're going to dive into the world of tech and everything related. I'm your host for today, Chris Short, and joining me as always is Christian Tajedas. Christian, what's up, man? How's it going?
Hey Chris, everything's all good. Like today still feels like yesterday.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Still hot as hell.
Yeah, and majority of the news that we're picking up are pretty much a do-over of the other ones that we've done before.
Yeah, there seems to be a theme. You know what I mean? There's a couple things across the news desk today. A lot about AI, and other things. But I thought I picked out one for today that I feel is ironic to say the least, and also maybe I would like to attempt to maybe I don't know, not even really clear the air, but kind of clarify. I think something that's often misconstrued or misinterpreted or misrepresented for a lot of the time. And it's also like I said, it's an irony story. So this comes from Eno over at Tech Times. Trump's Truth Social applies for a visa program that he once criticized. Uh, yeah, so despite Trump's expressed concerns about the negative effect of the H-1B visa program on Americans, Truth Social recently submitted an application for it. So even though former President Donald Trump had once criticized the H-1B visa program as detrimental to Americans, his social media venture, True Social, is looking to utilize this, or they were. And of course, this move by the company raised eyebrows considering Trump's previous efforts to limit the program during his presidency. In June of 2022, which just goes to show, how long it takes to get wind of this stuff. Trump Media and Technology Group, the organization, like the parent company for responsible for True Social, um, submitted an application for a worker with a $65,000 a year annual salary, which is the minimum wage permitted by the program. Now, according to sources, the company's visa request was approved several months later. However, the company has stated that it ultimately did not hire the worker. Filing for the visa, of course, what we're going to talk about, really presents a paradox in Donald Trump's persona, somewhat, right? So what do you think, man? What's your initial take on this news?
You know the saying until it happens to you, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah,
So it is kind of hypocritical if you think about it. Like this is pretty much his battle cry for his second term regarding immigrations. Like if it's gonna be benefiting him, like at the end of the day, people actually voted for him just because he's not a politician, he's a businessman. And would we be surprised if he's gonna be making these business like moves?
right, right. I mean, it's expected, if the word that jumped out to me here was the persona, and I think it's possible for it, or maybe not even possible. I think it's logical that most of us have different personas, right? Like I behave in a different way with my daughter than I do with the people on my team, right? It's two different personas. You know what I'm saying? I have a work professional persona, I have a personal persona. I don't behave with my team or my daughter the same way I behave with my close friends. Like, so of course, in a business sense, this is great, right? But as a politician, I
Yeah.
think it's almost it's it's expected. It's almost an obligation to
What
discuss and have
I
an
think what
opinion about immigration.
I think what you're describing to me is actually personality quirks regarding your interaction with other people. But then again, what Donald Trump is having right now is actually pure dumb reversals in his stances. Like you would want your politicians not to have multiple personas if you're going to be voting for them. You would want them to be their genuine selves. And if he actually presented to his voters or his base that he's actually has a hard stance regarding immigration and just hiring only Americans or anyone in the Americas for employment, then this is going to be a detriment to his campaign. So
Well,
he can no longer use this platform when it comes to his political stances. Since if this is actually a genuine evidence of him actually using immigration to uh fill up his workforce.
well, it's okay. See, this is there. The immigration thing gets lumped together a lot, right? And there's different nuances to immigration. Um, and I've seen him say this. You know, I've personally watched, not in person, but I know for a fact that immigration, and for most Americans, if not all Americans, immigration is not the problem, right? Legal immigration, H-1B, whatever it is, HB1, what is it? H1, I can never remember what it is. Yeah, H-1B visas are great. You know, America, I think we allow like a million plus legal immigrants
Yeah.
every year. The hard stance on immigration comes with illegal immigration.
Yeah, but the
Remain
thing
in
about that
Mexico.
is Yeah, but the thing about that is during his administration, the business visa program, he sought to actually restrict that during his term. And he's currently using it in its full potential. Like,
Right. But I also kind of agree with restricting it because the the unemployment rate for Americans, unless it's at zero, then that should be the pool you're choosing from. Like it's
yeah,
just it's part of the America First policy, a policy that I feel if you don't agree with inherently America First, then I mean, as an American, then what are you even doing? Like, of course, we can do charitable things, but you know, take care of those there first, right? Like, does that it makes sense?
yeah, it does make sense if the age we are now is still in the 80s and 90s. Like the thing with the new breed of workers that are coming in or being born in the US doesn't necessarily want to do the jobs that are available that immigrants are actually willing to do. So
At at Truth Social, I doubt this was a I doubt this was a landscaping position. Like,
like in all seriousness, like if you're gonna get an immigrant for a true social position, and all of a sudden that position wasn't actually hired, what was the agenda there to actually applying for it in the first place? You would have to think because you would be jumping hoops to actually get someone in the US to
mm,
provide them a business visa. Then all of a sudden, it's implying that no, we never actually hired the person. They were
right.
granted it. So what was the deal with that?
Well, you know, and I'm not here to defend Trump or Truth Social or anyone. I'm kind of just playing the devil's advocate on this side of it. Like, you know, just I guess it just doesn't always push through, right? I imagine, and again, I have no experience with the H-1B visa.
Yeah,
I don't really know anything about it, but I imagine if it were me and I said, well, you know, there's certain levels of the interview, right? Like initial follow up, come in, you know, you're getting closer and closer. I imagine just practicality wise, like you should you should um submit this form before you like if we do decide to hire this person, at least this step is done. Right? Because if you say, okay, we're going to hire you, it's official, we're going to hire you, now we'll start your visa. What is that,
yeah,
6 months, 8 months? No, you started in advance, right? And maybe the job just didn't push through. Maybe it was a salary thing or how who knows why it didn't push through. But I don't find it suspicious that they applied for it and then ended up not hiring him because, like I said, logistically speaking, it makes sense to get a jump on the visa, even if you're not sure. Because what does it hurt?
yeah. They did actually clarify or made a statement regarding it that the visa was actually applied under previous management. So and it the program was actually discontinued after it was actually found out. Like who is the previous management that actually did this? It's still Trump's company. Like, does not everything go through him first? Usually,
Uh,
someone of his name and personality usually wants the final say on things.
um, I don't know if I would go all the way to the final say as far as HR. You
Donald
know,
Trump
like
is
I don't
HR.
like.
You
I
know how those
mean,
things don't mix.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you hire people. You department heads, sure, probably have a lot of interaction, maybe, or hear a lot from him. But as far as like hiring, it's the same as what we talked about last week with the DEI thing. Like these are things that just happen in business, and just because his name is put on there, it's like, oh shit, look, Donald Trump didn't like this, and now he's using it, but it's business.
But I still think he still has final say on it, or either him or any of his family members, because it's been known that he doesn't actually care about the hierarchy. It doesn't have Trump in the last name. So
Well, like you said, the previous management, I imagine he was much more involved probably previously than he is now, since they have investors and things. So if this was done under previous management, and I think it's a disservice. I think it's unfair to accuse him of being anti-immigration. Like I don't think that's true. I think strict immigration laws are necessary. I think illegal immigration should be stopped, should be zero. I completely agree with that. Absolute zero. Um, for many reasons, not only the fact that people with H-1B visas are doing it the right way, waiting months, or you can have, Joe Schmo from down the road just waltz in and, have benefits. It's not fair to the people that want to do it the correct way. So it's not just like being selfish with America. Like, I don't want you in here because you're not American. There's a process that has to be followed. And as we know very well, things like this are always twisted in a way to, like, you would never see an article or a report
yeah,
about the other way. You know what I'm saying? It's always an attack. And honestly, I agree. I don't agree with a lot of the shit he says and does, but I think when it comes to immigration, I think he's pretty much got it locked down. Like strict, no uh zero, what is it called? Fucking zero. I can't think of what it is now, but yeah, but like fix the immigration. Like that's a huge issue in the United States. And not
was it
only
ever?
for illegals, but fix it so that the people that want to come can come faster.
Hmm, was it ever divulged on which country actually the visa was applied for?
Not that I know of. Probably not something that was uh, but I imagine
It wasn't divulged, right?
no,
I guess
not that
the
I see.
hearing didn't actually push through.
Right.
Well, I
Yeah,
feel like
so
he
like
can't put
after
immigration
I'm sorry,
anymore
go
in the
ahead.
dock. Yeah, I feel like he can't put immigration anymore in the docket when it comes to his campaign this year.
Right. Well, I think it's one of the most pressing issues
It is.
for America this decade, maybe, or the last 2 decades. I
Yeah,
mean,
and also
we can go all the way back to Obama being very blunt about US people that are not US citizens cannot just come in here. Like he was very, very blunt about it. And then 4 years later, when Trump says the same thing, it's an issue. He's racist. He's xenophobic.
the way
So
he
it's
delivers. It's the way he delivers things.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, people
Like
don't
it's
like
all
him.
about the delivery. Like
Yeah.
they could possibly mean the same thing, but say it in different manners. Like people can take it any other way they like.
Well, that's a great point you make, because Obama is widely considered a great communicator.
He's a great orator. So is Trump, but the difference to him is Obama's oration is more of an organizer, where Trump is more of a stand-up comedian, and you can't take seriously.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you take that people love what Obama said,
Yeah.
but nothing happened in the US. Obama, not a stellar president. Super popular. People loved him. Super nice guy. Didn't really do much for the United States in 8 years. Obamacare, catastrophe. Straight up lied to the American people. Now, Trump says stuff that everybody hates, but the proof is in the pudding. No new wars. Actually, was stopping wars. Damn near had peace in the Middle East. Unemployment was down until COVID. Unemployment was down. The minority communities were doing better, higher annual incomes. Um, gas prices were low. All these things were great, and then COVID came, and then followed by. So that's my point, right? Like Obama, everybody loved him, didn't do shit. Trump, everybody hates him, but his track record is pretty on point. So I don't know that I take delivery
Is
over substance.
yeah. But is his track record really on point?
It's pretty good compared to others.
Because I still see it as a fallout of whatever Obama actually implemented before he came into office.
Peace in the Middle East. What was it? The Abrams Accord. Like that was
It's easy to have
landmark.
peace when you just say yes to everything. That's my stake on this. As an outsider of the US policies and politics, but as a member of the world, it's easy to get peace if everyone just says yes to something, just to avoid conflict. And usually avoiding conflict doesn't actually mean that it's gonna be a solution for a problem that spanned centuries just because of religion. So pretty much you can diffuse a situation, yes, but it doesn't actually solve it.
Okay, I found something here that says part of the issue is that the H-1B program offers salaries in the lower wage categories to foreign workers, whereas if an investment firm would pay this employee a $200,000 salary, okay, so that's kind of the issue, I guess, with the H-1B program. Is about much of the criticism regarded is about companies offering salaries in the lower wage categories for foreign workers. The application filed by Kushner, which is Trump's son-in-law,
Mm.
investment firm to hire a former employee, appears to satisfy that complaint. The Labor Department certified a document where Kushner's investment firm specified it would pay this employee a $200,000 salary, which falls under the highest wage level for the H-1B visas, typically reserved for those who are experts in their field and have senior responsibilities. Recent data from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services shows the company was approved for a visa. Okay, so
So it shows another Trump was actually involved.
yeah,
So
but this was different. This was Jared Kushner's
yeah, it's still who actually
investment firm or something.
he's the boy wonder of Trump during his administration, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
an
Kushner's.
investment, he doesn't own a position in the company that Trump's in, right? Truth Social. It's Devin Nunes is actually CEO of it,
Mm.
but he still has a say in what happens. So that's what
Oh,
I
of
mean.
course.
That's what I mean when I say Trump doesn't care about hierarchy when it comes to the company, as long as it has his family in it. So he's still potentially liable for that application, regardless if it's a previous management. It's still his decision and his family's decision.
Okay, I'm digging a little deeper here. No, I am because like no, but you're right, absolutely. I mean, he's surrounded by people, I think very capable people, but uh
Capable?
yeah, like his daughters and people.
I'm gonna have to take a rain check on that.
So it says that even before he became president, he never hid that he used these visas before, mostly to bring in uh foreign workers for hotels and resorts.
Yeah,
But with
like I said,
exceptions to renew existing applications, his companies appear to have no longer petitioned until but with exceptions to renew existing applications, his companies appear to have no longer petitioned for H-1B1 visas until Truth Social was created.
yeah,
Okay,
he's in the
so
position to actually majorly benefit from this regarding the immigration policies that he's actually fighting against during his administration. Like his businesses are mostly dependent on immigrants. If you think
yeah,
about it, like so he is still a businessman at the end of the day. He's more of a businessman rather than a politician. But that's the goods that was sold to people, and that's what people bought. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually happening, or we're actually receiving news like this.
right, right. And personally, I doubt very much that he has much going on in the day to day with Truth Social. Um,
If we
I
just
mean,
reported it's actually having issues right now when it comes to their stocks. So
right. Well, he's always going to have issues. Had he not ran for president, he would still be loved in American culture. He ran for president, pissed off the swamp. The mainstream media turned on him, and they've painted him as a demon, and that's just the truth.
he would
Before
have
before he ran for president, he was celebrated by the black community. He was in I don't know how many mentions he has through hip hop. People wanted to be like Trump. They would use him as I want to be like Trump, right? I got money like Trump, or even Mac Miller, rest in peace, one of my favorite rappers, has a song, like Trump or whatever. When he ran for office and ran as a Republican, before running the years prior, he was always a Democrat, registered Democrat. When he decided to run for office, he ruined himself because the establishment and the mainstream media will not stop. You see now he's in court day after day after day, case after case after case. The first president in history for this to happen to, and God knows every single president in U.S. history is a criminal in some way or another, war
yeah.
criminal or whatever. It's
Because
just
the funny thing
that's
is,
just the way it is
after
now.
all these after all these decades, we now have precedent over what's gonna be the case for everything that he's going through right now. People have more data, more evidence, more means of getting evidence regarding him.
Yeah,
If he hadn't gone into politics, he would have still found a way to stay relevant just because of him being an egomaniac and a narcissist. That's just it. Whether his businesses go under, he would still find himself to be relevant in pop culture.
right.
But
Well, I
then
mean,
he
he
went for
had
politics.
I mean, he was the richest man for a long time, like, I mean, you have the fights at Trump Plaza, Trump Taj Mahal, like his name was on some of the most iconic buildings in America. Um, he, he was a pop culture phenom. He had The Apprentice, which is still his, which is a great TV show. Nobody had a problem with it. That's my thing. Nobody cared what he was doing until he became president. And then he went from social or not social media, pop culture zeitgeist to the devil reincarnate.
The
And
TikTok viewers were sorry that it suddenly became a dissertation on Trump. Like,
well, I'm just saying, like it's true. It's 100% true that he gets shit on constantly when they're. And I'm not saying he's great. I'm not. I'm saying the treatment that one piece of shit gets, every piece of shit should get, and it's just not how it is.
yeah, regarding him being the richest man in the US, I highly doubt that the way he's actually handling money. So,
Well, I mean, before he was like he was one of the first, like before real estate, before tech. Now everybody's tech millionaires, tech billionaires. But before this, he was a real estate mogul. So one of the most successful people in America. And he was on Oprah. He was posing for pictures with Jesse Jackson. Like no one had a problem until he said, and he actually told them that if Obama would have did a better job, he would have never ran for president. But they shipped. There's video of Obama saying like there's no magic wand that you can wave and bring jobs back to America. And within Trump's uh term, he brought manufacturing jobs back to America. So the Democrats, and it started a long time ago, but Joe Biden especially is like the pinnacle of this, is just selling out to every other country. They just passed that bill today
Yeah.
for how much is it? 100? No, what is it? $95 billion to be sent to Iran, or not Iran, Jesus Christ. Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, 95 billion. While there's so many things in the US that need to be addressed. I don't know. I could go on about this forever. I just think it's my point basically is it's unfair. Not even unfair. It's fair. His treatment is fair, I think. What I don't like is that it's only him. Joe Biden is the most corrupt president in US history by far. Not to mention incompetent. But he gets kid gloves constantly.
Yeah, we're gonna see a bit later this. We're gonna see a bit later this year if the entire U.S. actually still feels that way. Because if it is true what you say regarding Joe Biden, there's no lesser evil when it comes to the elections that are coming and who will be representing both parties.
Yeah, we're if that's our two options, I mean we're doomed. I like RFK. I just don't think RF a third party doesn't have a chance really. Third party option is just never going to happen in the US. It's a two-party system,
And there's a
unfortunately.
possibility that it would just take away from the votes of other parties.
That's really all he's doing. He's muddying the waters, really. He could, I imagine RFK pulls more voters from Trump than he does uh Biden. Because I feel like more conservatives resonate with what RFK says.
And both sides are actually at the extreme right now. It's gonna be a hard time to find middle ground for a third party to actually sneak in.
Yeah, yeah, it's a mess. But anyway, with the immigration thing, I mean, unfortunately, old guy didn't get the job.
Yeah, whoever
Um,
you are,
yeah.
we don't
I
know your
would like to know though what position and from what country. That would be good information to have.
$65,000 a year. I wouldn't know. Was that high
It's
for a
not
position in
great, but
tech
it's not
company?
terrible. I think that's the minimum living wage in the US or some shit. I know it's not high. I know like let's see.
Could it be that they're just hiring outside the country just because Trump's name is actually tied into this and they're having a hard time finding talented individuals who want to be associated with them? That's
Uh
just my thinking on this. Like Trump's name is pretty nuclear right now, or pretty radioactive.
so
Or
the average annual salary in quarter 4 of 2023 for the US was just shy of $60,000. So this is a tick above average.
okay, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, not bad. I mean, I obviously though, right? You can't offer somebody below average salary as an immigrant. Like that's insane. It's obvious that's average as well, right? So you think about there's a lot of poverty in the US and there's a lot of fucking rich people in the US. So 60,000, while it may be average, I don't think I don't think it accurately represents what $60,000 can do for you in a year.
Yeah, I still feel that
It's five
the
thousand
immig-
dollars a month. That's not much.
yeah, I still feel the immigration thing being utilized by Truth Social has to do with the fact that they're gonna have a hard time getting young blood into their offices because most people that are on the tech world right now that are in the tech industry are actually pretty liberal and
They're
they are pretty
incredibly
much
liberal.
equated to the right wing of politics. Like it would be weird or it would be strange for someone who's pretty liberal having something of a right wing on their resume at
Yeah.
this. I believe they are having a hard time actually recruiting anyone in the tech world right now to actually work for them. That's why they're looking elsewhere.
That's a great point. And I think there's a deeper reason behind this, but I don't think this is the right podcast for this discussion.
Might as well go on tech talks.
Yeah. Uh, but it basically boils down to the indoctrination that we're seeing in universities across America.
Yeah, could be a good
That's
topic
all
for
it
us
is.
to actually look forward to.
Yeah, because I mean we can do some research and um but yeah, there's a trend across campuses in the US that a lot of the viewpoints are very liberal coming out of there. And with the whole gender thing and now you see all the pro Palestine protests that are happening on college campuses across the US. Um, Israel has been one of America's closest allies for a very long time. But this new generation, these new college kids, are for some reason pro Palestine. And yeah. But anyway, I don't really want to get too deep into this. But it's definitely a discussion for another day.
Yep.
But I'm sure I've either pissed some people off or piqued some interest, or maybe somebody wants to argue with me. Actually, if someone that watches this wants to debate, then we can set it up. I
Yeah.
would actually be open to a debate on almost anything.
Yeah. Us being our genuine selves.
Hmm.
No, what's happening?
But yeah. But
What's the
anyway,
world coming to?
for the sake of time and everything, let's I think that does it for today. So, but yeah, well, we'll be here again tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a little lighter subject. Uh, but until then, stay curious, stay connected. For Christian Tejedas, I'm Chris Short, and we'll see you next time.